We tend to make things which are slightly specific. Slightly specific means making an artwork in a particular place. As well as place, it's also then about the people from that place, and almost always the history too.
It's always about celebrating people's stories and celebrating local heritage. We were made aware of 2 embroidered tablecloths that live here in Haverfordwest in the museum. What they actually are is collections of names. There were hundreds of names on these tablecloths. They've written their name in pencil. Someone else has then embroidered it, which I really like initially because it's showing love and care to that name. Our mission was to do something in response to those tablecloths that would first of all get them seen and then bring them into a contemporary space and respond in a contemporary way.
And there's something really personal about sharing a name with a name as well, across generations.
We invited the public to respond by signing on a piece of fabric, so they were doing the same thing. But instead of then interpreting it as an embroidery, we then are going to digitally photograph that at high resolution and upscale it to make it larger and print it onto 80 metres of fabric and then construct it into a fully operational 5-metre high hot air balloon that we then fly in the high street in Haverfordwest to celebrate the people of the now and the then. So it's connecting those 2 generations, or in fact, 3-4 generations of people together.
We actually came across a photograph of a hot air balloon flight here in Haverfordwest in the late 1800s. It was the first method by which humankind could look back down at the landscape. So we see what we're doing as a kind of social mapping. It's as if we're looking down on the community and recording it. It really is it's a 3-dimensional modern interpretation of those original tablecloths, which is something that is constantly moving from side to side, rotating. So the idea of being a spectator of that means that you are also moving, and it's a very physical, dynamic way of presenting a list of names.
It's kind of quite surreal because it is 5 metres high, which is quite big, and yet you can hand hold it.
You are going to see a hot air balloon which is emblazoned with signatures.
We often leave space in our description of the work or titling so that others can interpret it, because sometimes their interpretation is better than ours. You have an intention, you have a story, you have a narrative, and you have a purpose. But sometimes someone really gets an understanding of what you've made, and they understand more of what you're doing than you do. It then becomes better for me because it means that it's become something that's alive in them as well as myself.
I think it's important to have a connection with the past because it actually talks about the future. By reflecting on the past, you can become more connected to a place, more connected to your community, and actually think about where that community is going.